watching the Los Angeles Clippers, the thing that I notice about the Los Angeles Clippers is that they have something that no other team in the NBA has, especially when we're talking about serious NBA contenders. They got three guys that on any given night can close out a basketball game. Now, people are going to say that Paul George is not really a closer. And I'm here to tell you that Paul George is definitely a closer, but a lot of times people don't understand the difference between closing games and being a closer, meaning putting up points, 8 to 12 points at a stretch, getting hot, helping your team win the game, to clutchness when it comes to hitting the game winning shot or the go-ahead shot in a game. Like, you got guys that are super clutch, and you got guys that are closers and super clutch as well, like Kawhi Leonard, who leads the NBA in fourth quarter points with 13.5 fourth quarter points per game. He's a guy that's going to close out the game. He's also a guy that's going to hit the big shot. And you got Lou Williams, another guy who's going to close out the basketball game, go on a run where he can get hot and he can put up a lot of points in bunches and he can close out a game. We saw him do it last night against the Portland Trailblazers. And then you have Paul George. When he comes back, it's going to be some nights where Paul George is going to get really hot, and the 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he's going to dominate. He's going to go on stretches and runs where he's going to get you 8 to 12 points. Now, he may not have never been the type of player to hit game-winning shots, but if he's able to help you close out the game and then Lou Williams hits the game-winning shot or Kawhi Leonard hits the big shot, the go-ahead shot to help your team win, we cannot sit up and say that his impact on the basketball court of him going on a run did not help them succeed. So when people think of closing, a lot of times they just think of game-winning shots, hitting the clutch baskets, but it's levels when it comes to clutchness, and just like it's levels to closing out a game. Like, of course, you got players that's going to, like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, even Kevin Durant. You got players that are going to close out the entire game, and you got players that are going to get you there and then, make the right team play. Like LeBron has done sometimes. He close out the game, going to 8 to 12 scoring run, and then hit Kyrie for the game-winning shot or hit Danny Green for the game-winning shot. It's different levels of clutchness, just like it's different levels of closing out the game. But what I noticed with the Los Angeles Clippers is that they have three guys that can close out basketball games, and no other contender has that. So you look at other teams in the NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers, they got Anthony Davis, they got LeBron James. Really, LeBron James is the guy that can really create his own shot. Anthony Davis can create his own shot, but not to the level of a LeBron James. So Anthony Davis is going to be able to close out games, but he's also going to need the Lakers and their team to kind of give him the ball at times. A lot of times when we're talking about closing out games, we're thinking about players that can create their own shot, that can work in the half court when the half court has their defense set and still go out and get you a bucket. Not saying Anthony Davis can't do that, just saying that really they have one basketball player that can do that. That's LeBron James. Look at the Rockets. They got James Harden. They got Russell Westbrook. That's two guys. And any given night, it could be one or it can be none. Then you look at the Philadelphia Sixers. They have nobody that can close out the basketball game for them. Joel Embiid's not going to really close out the game because he needs players to give him the ball. Even though he can put the ball on the floor, he still is not as great as some of the other players that I mentioned. And then you have Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is not going to necessarily close out a game in a half-court situation. Then you look, that's why when Jimmy Butler left, it was a very big deal. Then you look at another contender. You look at the Boston Celtics. Now, the Boston Celtics have Kemba Walker. They have Gordon Hayward. They have Jason Tatum. They have Jaylen Brown. We know Kemba Walker can close. The rest of those guys, we don't really know. And I'm not really putting my money on Gordon Hayward. The last time we seen Gordon Hayward in the playoffs close out a game, last time we seen Gordon Hayward in the playoffs, he looked very different in the playoffs compared to the regular season where he was fully healthy with the Utah Jazz. He looked like he wasn't really about that life, wasn't really about those moments. And even if you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, they have nobody that can close out a basketball game, especially when it comes to playoff time and you're in a position where it's a half-court set and you got to have your best player go out and get you a bucket, go out and get you the go-ahead basket, or just close games in a stretch where he's going to lead you on an 8 to 10 game run himself when it comes deep in the playoffs. I don't think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to do that where he can just go on a scoring run when the last 5 minutes of the game where it's a half-court defense and go out and get you 8 points, 8 buckets in a row, just him, because we know that in the playoffs the game slows down. And he may be able to do it in the regular season, but definitely probably not in the playoffs until he continues to work on the shot like he has been doing this season. So that being said, though, the Los Angeles Clippers, to me, is the only team in the NBA that has multiple closers, and that makes them very, very dangerous. That makes them a team that on any given night, you don't know who's going to be the guy that's going to close them out, and that's really hard when you try to match up and try to figure out and prepare a game plan for, when you got to prepare a game plan for 3 guys that can go out and get hot in the half court system, on the fast break transitions, in the fourth quarter, the last 2 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the game. That's really hard to prepare for. And the Los Angeles Clippers have 3 of those guys. They have Lou Williams, they have Paul George, and they have Kawhi Leonard. That's the most in the NBA. We haven't seen a team since the Golden State Warriors who had 3 guys that could all close out games with Stephen Curry, with Klay Thompson, with Kevin Durant. So you're going to see that with the Los Angeles Clippers, and that's going to make them very, very dangerous going forward in the regular season, but really, really dangerous going forward in the upcoming playoffs.